Will Josh Giddey be a member of the Phoenix Suns? Here's a couple ways that could work out. Obviously, Gerald, these are the sign-in trades that you mentioned earlier, hard capping the Suns, which means the Suns would have to pay Josh Giddey whatever amount he is agreeing upon with the Bulls. But Josh Giddey for Grayson Allen in a 2026 second-round pick. How does this work for the Suns?
Yeah, so due to the complicated math of sign-in trades and the fact that if you are a team that is above the salary cap but below the first apron, the most money that you can take back in a trade is whatever salary you're sending out plus $7.5 million. That is for contracts between $7.5 million to $29 million. Grayson's contract is obviously in the middle there. So the most that they could take back is like $24.375 million because that's 7.5 more than what Grayson Allen makes. So that means if it's just Grayson Allen and you're doing a sign and trade for Josh Giddey, the most that first year salary would be that $24.375 million figure. You can obviously make it a lower number in the first year, and then the second, third year, you escalate it so that he makes, whatever raw figure you're giving him. And it's worth remembering, like we mentioned at the start of the show, if you acquire a player through a sign and trade, you are hard capped at the first apron, which is $195.9 million. So in any of these trades, if you're taking back more than $8.9 million extra dollars, you are getting right up against that hard cap, and you're looking at a situation where you now have 3 open roster spots. So that's not a great idea. And sign and trades can only be for 3 to 4 years. You can't do like a 2-year sign and trade. So all of that being said, to trade Grayson Allen and a second for a Josh Giddey $24 million starting salary, thoughts?
I'm not giddy for Josh.
No.
Because of the repercussions for it, exhausting the few assets that you do have to build around this new roster context that you're working towards. I don't feel like he's a piece that fits with what they have and what they're working towards, because where is he? Is he coming off the bench? Is he playing a 3 for you? Those prospects don't really match. They don't align with what they're working towards. So for me, it's a no for the basketball reasons, in addition to contractually, if you bring him in under those constraints of a sign and trade, you just got done undoing some of the cap hill that you were residing in the last 2 seasons. You don't want to start incrementally working towards that for a piece that's not going to significantly shift your retool into playoff level type of contention.
I don't want Josh Giddey on this team.
No.
That being said, I do want to play a little devil's advocate here. 21.2 points per game, 10.7 rebounds per game, 9.3 assists per game while shooting 50% from the field and 46% from deep. Those were Josh Giddey's numbers post All-Star break for the Chicago Bulls. He was playing out of his mind basketball, almost averaging a triple-double. In fact, basically like single-handedly cost the Bulls a better pick in the draft. And he hit that crazy game winner against the Lakers. He was
an all-star level player post All-Star break.
He was hooping. And if you're able to get him for a relatively decent price and just part with Grayson Allen, who's a good player but not a part of your future, and a second-round pick for a tall guard who can pass and rebound and post All-Star break could shoot, there's something there. Like, I would understand the people who would say, yeah, I'll do it. Now, not for $30 million. And of course, Gerald, those numbers have not been his numbers throughout his career or even throughout the whole season. But I think that's why this is taking so long in the restricted free agency process, is because Giddy has a couple of months to point at and say, hey, I was playing like a max level player. 21, 10, and 9 on 50 and 46 shooting is max level player. And that's what he was playing for. Or playing as for the Bulls in the second part, not second half, but second part of last season.
I think you said it right the first time when you said that's what he was playing for.
Yeah, fair enough.
I do think there's like, those are fantastic numbers, and he and the Bulls played a lot better after the All-Star break. I do not put a ton of stock in just that section because there's a whole season for a reason, and coming up on a contract year, like, I don't know. I'm a little hesitant about that type of stuff, especially because, like you guys have alluded to, they're just coming out of a bad contract. So for me, the fit would have to be seamless. And in this trade, you still have Jalen Green. You still have Devin Booker. I don't think that fit is seamless by any means. I think Josh Giddey's defense, he shot the ball well this year in Chicago for the first time in his career. Up until that point, it was low 30s percentage-wise. So I think between the defense and the shooting, as much as he could help set everybody else up, I don't think that's a priority for the Suns, especially if it comes with paying this guy, 24, 25, 30 million a year.
Mm-hmm. I think the important thing, especially when players go on these pockets of a season type of runs that stand out, how repeatable is it that they do what they do? What was the situation they were in?
Yeah.
Post All-Star break, Zach LaVine's not there anymore. There's a shift in the way that the Bulls are running their offense that puts the ball in his hands significantly more than it was prior to Zach LaVine being traded. Comes to the Suns, is he going to have the ball in his hands even close to what it was for him to do the damage that he did post All-Star break? The answer is a resounding no. How is he going to be guarded?
Mm-hmm.
Defenses didn't really shift the way they guarded him. They just said, you're going to get dropped, you're going to get unders. If you're knocking down pull-up threes, so be it. Shout out Clips.
I was about to say,
shout out Clips. But yes, that's not going to be enough to shift things if he goes to this Suns context, because he's not going to have the ball in his hands, and he's going to be a Waldo or a pigeon for teams to target on the other end of the floor.
Why would I want a tall point guard when I can just sign Delano Banton?
There you go.
Yeah, I mean, it can't get through a show without mentioning Delano Banton.
Can't do it.
Freckled Mamba, you missed it. Gerald and I fought yesterday over Delano Banton and DeAnthony Melton. Yeah, there was a lot yesterday. Is there a number for Josh Giddey that you would be okay with? Like, let's say restricted free agency is not kind to him, and he ends up taking well below his value. Is there a number that it gets to a point where you're like, all right, we got to just do this?
Yeah, they rescind his qualifying offer and they sign
to a vet minimum.
I don't mean to be disrespectful, but the Bulls are pushing for $20 million a year as like the baseline, and Josh Giddey's camp wants $30 million a year. There's just no I don't even want to pay that dude $20 million a year over the next 3 to 4 years. He's not a good enough fit for me to want to commit that type of a 3-year, 4-year salary to the guy, especially if you're having to give up another one. Like, we can look at the Josh Giddey trade, because this is the worst case scenario where you're signing Giddey to a $30 million salary. This is what it would take. It would take Grayson. It would take Royce. Maybe you can lose the 2nd round pick that you have there to get it done. But I feel like teams that have restricted free agents are in the driver's seat right now, because other teams aren't going to make an offer that they can match. The market has been dry. It's really not a good market for restricted free agents. So the Bulls can just kind of sit around and be like, yeah, it's mid-August. Do you want to take our lower offer yet? Or are you still holding on to the hope that we're going to change our minds? So I don't know. I'm not crazy about this even for 20 mil.
I think for 20 mil, you'd have to listen. Personally. I think there's enough upside there. I'm not saying I would do it, but I do think that, as far as long-term fit goes next to Devin Booker, is Josh Giddey not a better fit than Jalen Green?
I'm sorry, I was distracted by soccer shoes comment. I was genuinely caught off guard by
is Josh Giddey not a better fit? Let's put contracts aside.
Than Jalen Green?
No,
he's not.
You don't think so?
No.
I don't know if I would agree with that.
No. Because
I at least have hope that Green can defend.
That's
and
fair.
shoot.
The defense is tough.
And
the defense is tough.
It's that, but it's also, there's an activity level with Jalen Green that Josh Giddey just doesn't have. There's an athleticism hit that we just got done talking about all last season the Suns did not have. And that when they went against teams that did have it, they typically got ran out the gym. Copy and paste each and every one of their matchups with the Oklahoma City Thunder last season. They have somebody that's cut from that cloth that they now can play with going forward with Devin Booker. You don't take that step back and have the issues that comes with having Josh Giddey on your team and replacing that.
I am done playing devil's advocate.
Okay. I'm not Giddey on Josh
Giddey. And scene.
You were just joshing?
I was just joshing around. I'm not trying to get too giddy. Any final thoughts on Josh Giddey before we move to our final trade here?
I don't think so.
Again, he's a player that needs the ball in his hands to be effective. If he's in a situation where it's not in his hands as much as it was post All-Star break, the context is not going to be the same in terms of his production and how much you might like him as a player.
We all silly like the mayor.